Hey, you guys, it's Marcelle here. So I'm thinking today, what's one of the hardest things about this business? Is it um, getting people to be in your challenge groups? In my opinion, not really. Like, can it be a struggle? Yeah, sometimes. Um, but for me, I feel like one of the hardest things that we do in this business is attract other business builders, right? I mean, you could probably line up a million discount coaches and you can build up to diamond rank with 8 to 12 discount coaches. But what are, where are you going to find those business builders? I think it's the recruitment is the easy part. Because I was kind of thinking back to my past couple of years and how recruitment to me kind of came easy. I was passionate about the business. Um, I knew how it affected my life, and I think my excitement was contagious, and so people were easily on board with it. So recruitment was not a big deal. But it was more about how do they stay, right? Are they going to be with you long term? And around, are they going to actually build a business, or are they going to kind of flounder for the first couple of months and then disappear? Because for me, that's what I felt happened in my business early on. And so it's always been one of those things that I have researched and tried to get better at and tried to understand more. And one of the things that really stuck with me, I was listening to a John Maxwell podcast, and this is probably like, a year and a half ago or so, but I've taken what he's been talking about and trying to implement this more. And it really was how my business kind of did that pivot turn there and went more towards business builders. Because if you look at my business in my first year, there's not a whole lot of business builders. There was a couple that are actually still around, but majority of them were hobby coaches or discount coaches. Some of those people are gone. And I'm not going to say it was completely my fault, but I definitely had a part to play in that. And so now I look now, and there's a lot more business builders on the team than there were before. So this is kind of what I wanted to share with you guys and what I've learned. And maybe this will help you as you grow your team as well. And this might not be, new information to you, but I think it's something that's worth exploring. So basically, if you're trying to attract a business builder, so let's call it like a 10, right? On a scale of 1 to 10, ideally we would have a business full of 10s, right? All these coaches hungry to learn, hungry to build businesses. So then you have that constant momentum and constant energy, and they're building a business, your business is growing, everyone's happy, right? But that's not the way it works. You're not going to get a bunch of 10s. I mean, it really comes down to kind of a numbers game, right? So if you recruit 10 coaches in 1 month, I like to say 10% do 90% of the work. And it's been like that in every business I've ever been in, especially when I was in real estate, because we have an office full of real estate agents, and maybe like 5 were actually doing really well, and the rest would just head around the office and say, poor me, I don't have any clients, but they didn't actually do anything about it. And so if you recruit 10 coaches in 1 month, what's the likelihood that 2 or more are actually going to succeed? That's probably right where it is. It's like 1 or 2 are actually going to take the business and run with it and do something with it. Or those other 8 are going to get into it, figure out that crap. It takes work. It can be hard. It takes long hours. This is not just a get in, get rich thing, and all of a sudden you're in shape and you have this great team. No, it's going to take a lot more work than that. And so it usually is that small percentage. And so how do we attract those people? Is it just by luck? Are you going to just have a post out there one day, or, a friend of yours that's a super go-getter, they're just going to ask to be on your team? No. What I have found that's helped me is, in order to attract a 10, you yourself have to be a 10. Now, again, that may sound like common sense, but to me, I was just like, oh yeah. I guess it makes sense because the like-minded people are attracted to each other, right? So, for example, if there's a coach who would be considered like the 4, this would be the coach that would not be very consistent in their posting. This would be the coach that may say, hey, I'm going to start a program, and then never follows through with it, or they never show, their progress. They're not being proof of the product. This is the coach that does not do their personal development, because the coach that is doing the personal development is going to be talking about that, which then inspires people, which then sparks something in people, right? So that would be like on the low end of the scale kind of coach who is not consistent, who doesn't follow through on what they're going to do. So why would somebody choose that coach to mentor them or to train them in the business, right? It's highly unlikely that's going to happen. So then you take a coach who is consistent every day, who follows through with what they say they're going to do. They show up every day. They literally show up in people's news feeds. People start to look for them and expect them, and they're inspired by them because this person is being proof of the product. So they're showing, one, that our products work, two, that they are committed, that a coach is actually committed. And then, they're doing the personal development. So they are changing. And when they're changing, that shows in how they do their business. And then you start to see that this coach who is consistent and doing all these awesome things, all of a sudden they have this big team. So who are you going to choose? The person that randomly shows up, that kind of does a workout, that maybe posts a picture once every few weeks about their workout? Or are you going to choose the coach that's clearly going, in the right direction, that every time you see this coach's post, it makes you think, it sparks something in you, right? So say that coach is a 10, that coach is going to attract those other 10s, because those other 10s are attracted to that coach, right? And I know it's kind of silly to explain that, but when I heard that spoken to me by listening to this podcast, I was like, yeah, that totally makes sense. And it's because like that you've thought about that before, but then when you actually say it out loud and you start to kind of, handle it a little bit, then it starts to make more sense. So one of the things that I've done for myself, and this is a good activity if you guys want to do this, if you're interested in kind of self-exploitation and really trying to improve your business in terms of the recruitment, is write down a list of your dream coach. What does that coach look like to you? Are they hardworking? Are they coachable? Are they motivated, passionate, excited? Are they all in? Do they show up for team meetings? Do they show up to Super Saturday? Do they show up to Summit? What does that coach look like? Clearly, I just described my ideal coach that I would love to build a business with. Write down all the attributes and of that coach. And so I think that's good for you to kind of see what that coach looks like. And then you really need to look at that list. So if you're trying to attract that coach, go into detail, right? Like someone who actually follows through with a program, someone who is working towards getting fit, or maybe is already there. That proves that there's some discipline there. Write down all of those attributes and then figure out for yourself, what are you falling short on, right? It's kind of a hold the mirror up to your face type of thing and say, okay, well, this is the type of coach that I'm looking for. I need to be that type of coach. So then you can say, okay, well, here's where I'm falling short. Maybe this is why I'm not attracting those business builders, because I'm not doing these things. So if I want to attract this kind of coach, I need to be this type of coach, right? So I just think it's a fun activity to do. I do it myself. It's kind of a reality check because I think I can get so lost in my own stuff, and I don't really kind of self-observe as much as maybe as I should. So I do this activity as well. And then I'm like, okay, well, I need to do this more. I need to do this more. I need to do this more. And I'll be honest, when I do this list and I write down where I'm falling short and I pick up on that and I start going strong on those things in addition to what I'm already doing, I see a big change in my business. I see the people starting to reach out to me more so, which is fun, rather than you feeling like you're chasing people. And that's kind of the attraction marketing piece, right? You make yourself attractive to the people you're trying to attract. That's fun because then you don't feel like you're burning out, because people are starting to come to you because of who you are. So Just a fun activity. I encourage you to try that. But I would love to hear if you guys want to post below in the video and you want to maybe post your list of your ideal coach and then maybe follow up with where you're falling short and how you can improve on that. That would be fun as a team to do that. So I'd love to see that if you guys are open to that. Anyway, all right. Thanks, you guys, and have a good night.